Welcome back to the Marketing Millennials podcast. Today, we're running one of the best talks from Marketingland Festival 2025. I'm Daniel, but today, Sangram is giving a talk that breaks down how to build a fractional business that generates $250K to over $1 million. This has real frameworks, real numbers, tactics you want to start today. So grab your notebook and let's dive in.
Welcome to the Marketing Millennials, the No BS Marketing Podcast. I'm Daniel Murray, and join me for unfiltered conversations with the brains behind marketing's coolest companies. The one request I tell our guests, stories or it didn't happen. Get ready to turn the up.
Thank you so much and welcome Demandland. This has been something that I've been working on almost for a year and a half. And a lot of you are here because you're trying to build a fractional business. So maybe just to get started in the poll, type in if this is the first time you're trying to build a fractional business, or maybe that you have been doing it for a year or two or longer. So I just get a feel for how many of you are actually trying to build a new business. A lot of people would go from a W-2 job to saying, well, it seems like I have 10, 20, 15 years of experience. I want to start a fractional business. I don't know what it means, but I know I want to do it. And today, that's what I'm going to help you figure out how to do this. But there are also a lot of people who are coming to this that we talk to all the time that have been doing some sort of consulting or fractional business for a period of time, like a year or two or three or longer. So it'd be really cool if you in the chat, if you could drop that in so I get a feel for it. And as you go through it, just recognize this is probably the best time to do this. And the reason is because if you are in the world right now of figuring out what should I focus on, and let's say you have 10, 15, 20 years of experience, this is very specifically on those lines, then you have a lot to offer. There's something that nobody can take away from you is your experience. There's something that nobody can actually be in the position that you're in is because you have the battle scars to show that you have been in this particular industry for 10, 15, 20 years or this type of role, which makes you incredibly valuable. You can't really drop in an AI agent to act like a 15-year experienced legal tech CMO. You just can't do that because it wouldn't know what that all it means. I've actually tried it. Trust me, on a prompt, I'm like, all right, act like a CMO, tell me, and it will give you all the buzzy language around it. But when you have gone through the trenches, and when you have gone through building somebody's business, and when you have created pipeline that is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 million, there is context that you have. There is ability to diagnose and solve issues or look through patterns that comes so naturally to you, because you have the experience. So if you have 10 plus years of experience in whatever field it is, and you want to build a fractional business specifically around $250K to $1 million, this is for you. And I'm going to share that with a few examples. I'm going to show you exactly how I have done it, because that's literally a lot of times what people will ask, and why you should even listen to me for this specific thing. And most importantly, I'm going to leave you with practical ways to implement that you can literally do today. If not tomorrow, you can literally start some of these things today to get to it. And I'm going to do some math exercises with you too. And it's good to see a lot of people are in starting new, because that's literally, again, probably the most exciting time to be. And if you have been doing, I think this is going to help you think about how do you productize your offering? How do you package it? How do you price it? So it's going to give you some of those elements as well. So let's start with this. You want to build a fractional business. And today I'm going to talk through 3 different ways to do this. But most importantly, I think this is the part a lot of people don't get, is where do you start this thing? And I'm going to share that is because Brian and I, we've written multiple books, and the last book, Move, became a Wall Street Journal bestseller. I've written enough content. There are 70,000. You can look up on LinkedIn. There are 70,000 people who have gone through the courses online. Is founder of 2 companies that have over $100 million in exit. So I'm sharing this purely from experience. I'm not sharing this as a chat GPT or a 20-year-old trying to say, hey, here's all the things you could do. I've actually done this. This is what really is very much an experiential thing. I'm actually part of this experience right now. So I want to make sure that everybody knows that none of this, what I'm talking, is going to be theory. This is actual practical stuff, literally step by step going through it. But the most important thing I had to wrestle with is, why am I doing this? And I want you to think hard about it. Why do you want to start a business? Because ultimately, being a fractional is not just going to get another job from a W-2 to 1099. It is literally how you literally are going to become a business owner. So few things to think about. And this is where I fumbled. I didn't start with the end in mind. So if you are doing this, then what is your end in mind? Is it more lifestyle business? Is it 2-3 clients? Is it variety of projects? Is it you're tired or you don't know? Or you literally are trying to figure out how do you make some side money? Like whatever it is. What I'm sharing with you in this is actually how you build a true business. That is your business. You become a small business owner. Welcome to the economy in general way. And you have to think about that end in mind, like what kind of business you want to build. And I'm going to give you some practical examples of it. Second thing is, you have to understand that you are actually now a business owner, which means you're not running the business, you're owning the business. And it has a tremendous amount of implications, what that means. When you're running, let's say you're a marketing or sales or whatever different roles that you have been, when you are running certain areas of a business, you are only focused on that part of it. Whereas owning a business means you have to literally take a step back and really, truly understand why you do what you do. So it's very important to understand that you are becoming a business owner. So you should have a little bit of energy around what you're trying to do, more so than, hey, I'm here to help. And number 3, this was the hard one for me. Your time has to equate to your energy. A lot of people are doing a lot of consulting work, and you may have tried that and done that, where you're just trading time for money. But again, if you have 10, 20, 30 years of experience, your time is way more valuable than the money that somebody might spend for an hour. So sometimes your advisory work, you might think you're not worth it, but the work you do in advising, for example, and I'll give you specific examples, that one call might be worth $5,000. And you might say, oh, I'm not worth $5,000 for one call. Like that's crazy talk. Well, first of all, you may not have $5,000 calls every day, every hour of the working hours. So it's not equal to that. 2, if you have 10, 20, 30 years of experience in an industry on a specific problem, yes, you're worth probably more than 5,000, because you can see the patterns and you have, again, the battle scars to show that you can help them solve problems. So the value that you start thinking about yourself has to be different, and your energy and time has to start working in the right direction. So again, you have to start thinking about, you're going to be a business owner, you're owning a business, and your time has to translate with the energy. Now, why this is important, before I walk into the ways to do this, is like some of you might still be wondering, I'm not sure, is this the right thing? Is it because I'm in between jobs and I'm calling myself fractional? So drop in. Are you in between jobs in the comments and looking to do this? Or are you really trying to build and become a small business owner? And as I can see through the comments and things, like if you are truly trying to become a business owner, this is the most important thing for you to recognize, that the market has shifted. If you haven't seen it yet, there are lots of layoffs. There are lots of different ways companies are trying to do. And the most important is the market has shifted, meaning people are going through efficient growth, meaning they want people to do more work for less. Any one of you doing less work because of AI? I don't think so. We all are more busy than we have ever been. And the CEOs that we talk to and the PE firms, when we work with them, they're no longer looking for, they feel like, well, they can't really get a high quality CMO or a CRO or an executive or director VPs of high caliber for the price they're looking for, because they're trying to taper down the cost per employee. That metric is really true. And then ultimately, what companies are starting to move in the direction is that they would rather pay for a service than a software. So we believe there's a rise of services instead of software as a service. There's a rise of services as a software, meaning somebody would rather pay you $10K a month. Just go with me here for a second. Let's say let's say you're like a $300K executive. It's hard for somebody to hire somebody at $300K in this economic condition, unless you like, it's just you're PE backed and you have a lot of money and the company's going crazy. Instead, but if you could get somebody for $10K a month, that company says, you know what? Yeah, $10K per month for 1 day a week makes sense. So from your perspective, the math is, if you can get 3 clients for $10K a month, that's $30K. Most likely you're going to make more money than what you would have done in full time. So on your end, it is only 3 clients. From their end, it's only 10K. So it's a win-win situation from an OpEx perspective. So it is absolutely the best time to do it. And when we look at what our company is really struggling with, we did a whole study around this, and gets into like why this is important, so we can get to how to do this. Is literally this idea that the number one thing that's stopping companies from hitting their goals, and you might actually support it and drop it in the comments if you support this or not. But our research at GTM Partners, research shows that 68% of the revenue leaders said that, hey, if my CEO and my executive team, if they knew and we all agreed on the same goals, not just a spreadsheet goal, but how we're going to go about doing it and what ICP we should focus on and how should our deals process and what segment of the market we should dominate, we would hit our numbers. They didn't say AI, which I was looking for an answer. They didn't say market, which I thought would be an easy thing to blame. They didn't say people, resources, money, which would be an obvious thing to raise. But they literally said, I don't need any of that. I need more clarity. And which is why, again, when you have 10, 20 years of experience, you can bring that because of the patterns that you have seen over the time. So a couple of things to layer in on. If you are going to build a fractional business, you got to have frameworks. And one of the frameworks that you can literally use, this is like giveaway, you can take a screenshot, use it. I'm sure the slides will be sent over. Is simply this. If you want to if you're doing something, go to market and you want to build a fractional business, you got to have a framework that gets people going. And so here's a framework we did through our research that there are 15 go-to-market problems. So every time we would go on a call, when somebody would say, hey, I want you to help us with certain things, we'll literally pop open this framework and say, oh, tell us more about it. Instead of saying, oh, tell me more about your business, who you are, what you do, what your ARR looks like all these like superfluous questions. Instead, we literally get into the business and saying, oh, our research shows there are 15 go-to-market problems. Which of these do you face? And they immediately are drawn in and they're circling on 3 of them and debating. And now we are in the business with them and we're talking the same language and no longer selling. So frameworks allows you to have a conversation that leads to projects and work, as opposed to an open-ended, let's just talk about what problems you have. Nobody wants to talk about that. We all got problems, but we don't want to bring all those problems in the world. Here's another one. We kind of bring it, which is called the SaaS Valley of Death, saying, what valley of death are you in? Are you in you create but not market, or market but not sell? This is literally, as you can see, it's emotional in nature, but again, a framework. So frameworks is the way business are transformed, and you can charge more for it, which is where we will go into in a second of how you price it and package it. But frameworks is literally the first takeaway for you, is that do you have a framework? Can you use a framework to answer those questions? Because if you can, then it makes it all the more difference, which is why we have this notion and an agenda item for everyone is like, hey, look, we're not trying to point fingers at departments. We are going to help you solve a go-to-market problem. As soon as we say that, the marketing leader, the sales leader, everybody feels at ease and they are like, okay, we're here to solve business problems. So again, language, words have the power of life and death. So you got to figure out what problems and how you solve it, but use frameworks to do that. And then the other big takeaway for you, this will be my second big takeaway for you already, which is, of all the work we have ever done, we have found that everyone wants one of these 8 things. So you can, again, take a screenshot of this and start working through it. Even if you use all your experience and say, I can do this really well, and blow that up and actually do deep work on it, you can build $1 million business. But every single work that we have done, we had over, again, 70,000 people who have gone through our programs. We have thousands of clients that we have helped and represented over the years. And what we have seen is that they're only looking for one of these or multiple of these 8 outcomes. And that's what people pay for. They pay for outcomes. So these are all very self-evident. Either they want a growth playbook, or they want an ICP. They want to build alignment on tree. They want dashboard, or they want insights with their customer. It's a very, very straight up what problem they're trying to solve. So all of these words are very carefully crafted. You can literally build an entire business on even just one of these 8 outcomes that you can deliver. So with that being said, you might be asking, well, okay, but how do I get hired? How do I become a leader? Well, for that, you need a few things. You need credibility, which I think you have. If you have 10, 15 years of experience, you got to leverage that up. You gotta have references. Make sure your LinkedIn has recommendations from your existing people that you have worked with. And even if you have worked with the current clients or just have been a W-2 employee, still get recommendations and references. Your experience, you probably already have it. You need to put in writing about and sharing lots of examples around it. And again, you got to show results to those outcomes that you are trying to map. So these 8 outcomes, whatever you're doing, you need to go back to your LinkedIn again and say, can I actually update my LinkedIn to show any of these outcomes? And that's how the results are shown. So the first thing is your LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn. Most people, your first 5 clients, and this is important. Let me make sure you pay real good attention to this. Your first 5 clients are already in your network. They just don't know this is what you do. Let me say that again. Your first 5 clients are already in your network. They're going to pay you for the next 6 months or at least a year. They just don't know that you actually are a fraction leader. So part of it is announcing that you're actually going to do that with a clear point of view. Again, think about this as a way of thinking or a framework that you might use, and making sure you have results around it. So that's how you literally open up. And LinkedIn, as you have seen, may have seen that the algorithms have changed quite a bit. The way to make sure your entire network knows about what you're doing is through a new job thing that you're doing. Like, hey, I started I'm a fractional XYZ. But again, this, just don't go open-ended with it, because then people don't know what exactly you would do to help them. They see, oh, okay, he's doing something new. But if you actually are very specific, and I'll give you an example of that in a second, then people know, oh, I should talk to Sue. I should talk to Sarah about this. And so here are the 3 ways of building business. Straight up. One is you do unlimited selfies of yourself, write how good you are all the time, and you use AI to send as many emails and calls all the time. And you might be thinking I'm kidding. You might be laughing right now. If you are, just drop it in the chat. But the reality is a lot of people are doing that. Lots and lots of people are getting a lot of engagement on it, but they are absolutely not helping deliver any good things. It's a very hard thing to do. It's very self-serving. Most people are not get yucked out about it, but there is a market for that kind of thing. That's not how we did it. That's not who we are, and that's not what we recommend. But there is a way to do that, and I've seen people do it. The second is you may already have years of experience, which in your case, and I'll use an example of Lydia, who's one of our fractional leaders who has 12 to 15 years of experience in legal tech. So if you go to Lydia's LinkedIn profile, she will say, I'm a legal tech go-to-market leader. So what is she doing? She's niching down on that ICP for legal tech. Again, how many clients does she need? Maybe 3 to 4 clients. And how much they need to pay? About 5 to 10K a month. And what would that be? More than what a CMO makes. So it's a very clear brand specific. Second is if you're an authority. Like, we have written 3 books. We're writing the next one. We have done courses. We have a framework. If you have your own, brand yourself around the framework. It takes time, but that is good. The third is through connections, through PEVC network and those things. As I said, your first 5 clients are literally waiting to work with you. They just don't know you exist to do these kind of work because you haven't announced that to them yet. That's literally what happened to us, and we know hundreds of examples of it, but you have to do it in a specific way. And the last way to do it, which is what we recommend now more so than anything, is to build on other people's brand. This is what we didn't know. There is an EOS implementation, so you can actually be an EOS implementer. You can go check them out. It's like $50,000 or something. There's a story brand. If you only do marketing, story brand with Donna Miller, they do some certified branding around it. Or John Maxwell certified if you want to be a coach. I think they charge $5K per person per year or something like that. So other people, brands, you can use their frameworks that actually you still can do the work and you have your way of doing it, but it's other people's brand. And these are the 3 ways to build the fractional. Now, the first one is the longest, and it's yucky, but works. The second one is that you can fake through it, because you already got to have a brand or a book or connections around it. And the third one is the fastest and the most focused way of going forward. This is important to note how long you have to do it. If you have next 6 months, then maybe you should try the second or the third one. If you don't have the second one, then you're really left with the third one as the way to go about it. We believe that's much more valuable. Okay, so now before I share a couple of examples of it, here is a very important quote that has changed the trajectory of my life. It is by James Clear. He wrote it in the Atomic Habits, and he said, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. What is he saying? He's saying that, look, everybody has the same goals. You want to be healthier, stronger, happier, be financially free, and all of it. Everybody has the same goals. Every company wants to grow. Nobody is saying, hey, how do I lose more customers, right? Like, it's just how it is. All humans, we're all trying to do better. Even AI bots are trying to do better. But we fall to the level of our systems, meaning we are actually, what is your system? How are you going to get there? How are you going to build a brand? How are you going to create a framework? How are you going to get your first client? How are you going to, that's a system. So the goal might be, I want to have $1 million, but what's your system to get there? And that's what this is about. This is about getting your mindset to become and think like an owner to build a system. And to build a system, what you need a brand, funnel, community, differentiator, a newsletter, lots of different things. You want to be all times on all of it. And you need multiple streams of revenue, like a workshop or a advisory or courses, all the different things that we have experimented with and tried and made sure that our revenue stream is. So if you want to be a fractional leader, you may start small, get the first 5 clients through your network by saying, this is what I do, and here's how I do it, and here's what I stand for. And you would typically get at least 10, 20 calls, and you may likely have 3 to 5 clients in the first 30 days. It's very likely that would happen. But over a period of time, you need to make sure that the well doesn't dry up and you have workshop and advisory and courses, just multiple streams of revenue. So I want to give you and walk away in the end with what is the content strategy we tried? How do you put a funnel? What was the productivity calendar? And how do you build a tech stack? For us, it's $6 million is what we have generated in the last 3 years. What does the tech stack look like? These are the most common questions we get. So I'm just going to share that with you. And if you have anything specific, just drop it in the chat. We'll do the Q&A on that in the end as well. So here's an example of it. We started writing on Substack. So you could literally start Substack for $0. So this is like the third takeaway for you. You need people to subscribe to your email, and you need to find a way to be in front of them. If you just wait on algorithms to work in your favor, and you write a great post on LinkedIn and nobody reads, it's lost. But if you write an email, it's going to go to somebody's inbox, and like chances are, if they follow you, they will read it. LinkedIn may change completely. So why worry about that? So we started writing about it, and now we have 175,000 people who read our GTM Monday research. People who follow us and are certified in our process, they can use, like Heidi over here, our research and write content around it. And that drives them to buy courses or advisory or research with us. So this is where you use original content that you create and end up becoming an expert in the area that you want to focus on. Here's something I want you to consider, and I wanted to put this slide very specifically. Do not confuse your buyers by saying, well, I do advisory, and I do this, and I can do fractional work, and I do some marketing. Yeah, I can run ads. They're confused. So that's like the complexity that we fell into, and I want to make sure you don't. Make sure you're very clear about, here's the one thing I do, here's the funnel, here's how you can work with me, and here's the process we're going to follow. Because when you do that, the complexity is not there. It's very simple, and people can make a decision yes or no, and you'll get a feedback on it. But if you have multiple products, multiple funnels, multiple processes, the complexity just keeps going up. And that's what kills most businesses. Again, you're a business owner. It's not about launching more campaigns anymore. It actually is about, what is the one thing that you'll be remembered for, that people will pay money for, and that you can follow and do an excellent job. I call it the brand demand delivery system. What does your brand stand for? How are people going to find you to create that demand that you need? And how are you going to deliver on it? That way they know that what you said is what you delivered. And that's what the simplicity scaling method is all about. So for us, the funnel is very simple. If you go to my LinkedIn today, you can see we have 2 different ways people can come through, but multiple different ways, but it's really the same funnel. The funnel, literally, if you go to my LinkedIn, you will see in the feature section the courses that people take. We give it away for free so people can sign up. And when they see how we work, we give them an assessment to do. They can come through the assessment again into the course, or through GTM Monday, our research note, and again comes to the LinkedIn and again to the course. So all of that goes to the one single funnel. That way we are dropping everybody in every way into this one thing. So what's your one thing that you can drop in? Is it your phone number, or is it something that they can actually see and say, you know what, I think this there's some interest to it. I'll give you a couple of examples. You should follow these people on LinkedIn. These people are doing it the best. Sarah and Sue Foley. Sarah Ellen Short on the left, she has in the featured section how people can work with her. She has this work doula thing going on. There's GTM advisory, and then she's a fractional CMO. Sue Foley, on the other hand, she's a GTM certified partner, and she has an assessment right below her, in the LinkedIn. And people are able to generate leads, and they get direct people coming to it. Most people's LinkedIn is messy. People don't know what it is when they come to your LinkedIn profile. It's your resume. People should know how to buy from you and with you, right? Like, so when somebody comes to Sue's profile, they know what Sue stands for, and they can go and do the assessment, and she gets the lead from it, and they know she's a GTM certified partner. And same is for Sarah. When they come to Sarah's LinkedIn, they see what Sarah is all about, and they look at the 3 different offerings, and they get to make a choice if they want to work with it. So if you go back to your LinkedIn, and if your LinkedIn is made up of the most popular post you did, which is what we did before, it doesn't matter. Once on my LinkedIn, I talked about becoming a US citizen, and I put it out, and I got thousands and thousands of views and likes on it. And so I made it a featured section. And then the coach that I was on, he's like, "What are you doing? So are people going to hire to become an immigrant attorney, or why is this your featured post?" I'm like, "Well, it's kind of nice, and I got like a 10,000, 100,000 views on this and likes on this." He's like, "Okay, great. You became viral. Okay, so what? But how are people going to buy from you? This is your most prized possession when they come to your profile." So as you write content, go back to your LinkedIn, go look at my LinkedIn, look at Sue's LinkedIn, look at Sarah's LinkedIn. These are practical ways to streamline, because your LinkedIn is your resume. You don't even need a website to get your first 5 clients if you're new. You really can build $1 million business just by making sure. And none of them have a huge following. You can see there's a couple of thousand people. So, but they both have built $1 million business, close to that right now. Like Sarah literally posted on LinkedIn recently that she used to make X amount of dollars as a CMO. She's making more than that now, and it's not even half the year. So it's a very possible thing. People are doing this, but doing it with the right clarity around it. The assessment gives them a lead. They go through that. So in the interest of time, I'm going to share the tech stack, and then we're going to get into more Q&A. A lot of people ask, like, what is your tech stack to get to 6 million in 3.5 years? And we go back and look at it. We do not have any paid tools. We do not have a CRM. As a fractional leader, I don't need more tools. I don't have a marketing automation. As you saw, we use all of our courses is through Thinkific, which is $150 a month. We use Zoom for calls, Fathom for recording, Riverside for some high quality content that we create, in Slack. GTM Monday, which is 175,000 subscribers, is free. We get the email list. We can send them as many emails as we want. We never have to pay for it. It's beautiful. I have no idea how I know they make money if you have paid subscription, but it's all free. So it works. We create amazing content. Every Monday we write new research. So I have a video or graphics designer that we use on a fractional basis. We have a couple of executive assistants who help us with different areas. Brian and I are the 2 founders, and we have our move book, which is our framework going back to the 3 ways. The middle is how we do it. That's our tech stack. Probably $1,000 a month or so is how much we spend on all of our tech. And that ends up being the best way we are able to run a very lean and profitable business. So this is not something that you have to kill everything to do it, but you have to be very surgical about who you are, what's your clear ICP, what target market you're going to go through. Like as I said, Lydia goes after legal tech. Like Sue is based out of Australia. Sarah is in more or less supply chain, and she does fractional work at some of these areas. Very, very clear in all 3 of them, and has a very specific purpose for what they do. And again, you don't need 5,000 leads. You need 3 to maybe 5 clients paying you 5 to 10K a month, and that you will end up making more money than you made in full time. So this tech stack thing is actually a way of showing it. Now, the last thing we get asked a lot about is like, well, how do I balance between being delivery and delivering all the work I do because it takes time versus demand gen? So here's how I do it. And so this is literally I pulled together just for this conversation because I get this asked so many times, and it's a real problem because when you are working W2, your calendar is full with all kinds of meetings, and now you have to create your own calendar. You're a business owner, right? So here's what I do. I typically block off my calendar before 10 a.m. so that I can do what I need to do. Very, very focused on it. Work with my EA if I need to, but it's really about that. Then I open it between 10 to 4, typically for sales calls if I need to. And then I block off on purpose Monday and Friday, because that's when I know I'm delivering something or working on some research, or I just want my Friday off. Like I really do. I don't want my Friday to be, I want to do what I want to do on Friday. So sometimes I'll take it off. Sometimes I just work on things. But Friday is where I don't think most sales calls anyway happen. So I don't want to create a perception that I'm available all the time anyway. So that works. And my week and it's the math. Like you have to just do a math equation on this one. I try to have one strategic conversation every single week. I make sure it's on my whiteboard right here. That it helps me. I want to have about 3 to 5 meetings a week, and on an average, we push through one deal or so a week or not. And again, these deals could range anywhere from 10K per month advisory business, advisory fractional work that we send to other people now that we have work coming in, or we would actually price it in a way where it takes care of us for multiple different months. It could be rolling over a period of time, over 30, 60, 90 days, not just month to month. So we do that. That's how our metrics are. And then when it comes to content, which is ultimately what people say, well, how do I get people in it and how do I people start? So for us, we just said, we're writing a research note every Monday. So that's one piece of content that just happens. I typically write once a week here based on the conversations I'm having. So it's very much very much authentic as opposed to just made up from weeks ago. I share a framework or an idea around it once a week. I see some results or celebrate someone, and it's a combination of those 5 things that I do. You could choose to use one of the research and have a point of view on the research. As a matter of fact, nobody says this. This is very important. This might be the 5th takeaway for you. If you don't write a single post, but just comment on the most important people in the industry that you're trying to navigate into, and you just comment every single day, 5 to 10 comments on different people who have lots of views and lots of engagement, you're going to have people who say, oh, who's this person? No, the John over here is writing really amazing comments to this, and that's deep. It's not just saying congrats, it's actually going deep. Let me see who John is. And they'll come to your profile. So you can actually get other people's following and all of that to your LinkedIn profile, which then if you have it set it up, they would know what you do and potentially work with you. So the comments are actually more powerful than writing content. So if you're not writing content, not into it, you actually can respond really deeply towards it, because I bet, again, if you have 10, 20 years of experience, you will actually be able to have deeper content in that you're writing as opposed to just fluff content. So that's what you do. And the last thing I'll say is that, hey, look, if you're not having fun, what are you doing? If you are working whatever you're doing, and if you're not having fun, I think you need to stop and rethink about it. Everything I said to you is really a mindset thing. And so this is another screenshot you can take. We create, and when we help other people, we literally help them think through these 15 limiting beliefs that is stopping them from becoming the true business owner or achieving some of it. And one of them is really that the own not run concept, which is how do you own something and make something out of it? And a lot of people also have a lot of fear about it. So how do you create hope as your optimism, as your strategy, as opposed to fear? So again, you can take this screenshot as something people print it and put it out there in front of them every time they hit a roadblock or hit a no or feel a lull or all the things that happen to it. So to finish off before we get into Q&A, there are really 3 ways to build your business. And you can choose any way you want. And I've shared with you which ways are slower and faster. But if you want to build on somebody's brand, like there are multiple brands, you can also build it on GTM OS. You can go to my LinkedIn and see how to do that. The featured section, you will see that. But if you have a brand yourself, and if you have an authority or a connection, you can literally be clear about it, get your ICP clear about it, who you do, what you do about. Look at Sarah's, Sue Foley's, Lydia's, Don's, the several people I shared examples for. They're actual people on LinkedIn, and you can see there and how they have done it and try to replicate it, because nothing worse than people not knowing what you do, which is what's stopping you from actually moving in this direction. So that being said, thank you so much, and I'm open to any questions that you might have.
Thanks so much for listening. Keep tuning in to hear more great insights from the coolest marketers from around the world. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and follow the Marketing Millennials podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like what you hear, I would greatly appreciate you giving us a 5-star rating. It helps bring more marketers into our community.